Ferne Burney. A lot of people excited to hear you talk tonight. She's been involved with the professional tour, or been a certified professional tour guide since 2015. And I'm going to use my cheat sheet over here, because I can't remember anything. After moving to San Antonio in 1973, she quickly became involved in the community. She served on the board of the Boys and Girls Club of San Antonio, the Pan-Hellenic Association of San Antonio, Delta 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 Alumni Association of San Antonio, the Women's Club of San Antonio, and the Military Civilian Charitable Foundation. She has been involved with the Fiesta San Antonio Commission Board of Directors, having served as Secretary, Treasurer, First Vice President, Senior Vice President, as well as President-elect on the Fiesta San Antonio Executive Committee. Did I leave anything out or get anything wrong? All right. Please welcome Ferne Burney.
You know, give me a bus microphone, I'm doing just fine, just cool hand look. This is intimidating. But I'll start with saying, welcome to the high tacky season of San Antonio. This is where excess is success. More color, more ribbons, more flowers, more everything as we go along. There's just, it's amazing. As I've gone up the ladder at the Fiesta Commission, that I found myself drawn to all these wild colored clothing. Anybody that knows me knows that I've never done that. Rarely wear a print. Not anymore. But now this is the official, so many of us women on the commission are now in the lengthy Guayabera. And it's nice and cool and comfortable. So Floyd, I gotta tell you, what you see below the Fiesta San Antonio, that's Fiesta San Antonio and its commission or its foundation are the official titles. But it's been called for many years the Party with a Purpose. We've had recent changes in themes throughout the years, and I'm going to be talking about that as we go along. So, can we have the video? Oh, what a guy. What did we do without Floyd?
It's always good to have a party. It's always good to bring people together. It's always good to have people kind of just in a really good mood with each other. I know during COVID, we suffered. People weren't able to come together for Fiesta. And people just tell stories about how much fun they've had at the different Fiesta events.
Fiesta is so much more than just a party. It's also about giving back to the community. All these wonderful organizations give so much to the city of San Antonio. So we definitely benefit from that too.
For us, we feel like Fiesta's mission and our mission are closely aligned in celebrating our rich and diverse community. And through that, we are wanting to ensure that our program reflects the incredible culture and diversity of San Antonio. And so through Fiesta, we are able to show people that we are out here to be able to provide tuition assistance to the greater San Antonio community. And that way we can all work together to create environmentally literate stewards of the world.
What Fiesta means to me and our organization, it is a tradition. We cannot do Fiesta without the Fiesta Commission. We cannot do Fiesta in San Antonio. It is about tradition, and it is about expanding that tradition to future generations of San Antonians and our visitors and people worldwide that come out and visit San Antonio. And we have a lot of fun with it, and we do it in a way that really captures the heart of who we are as San Antonians, and that is that we give to those in need, and we celebrate those individuals, and this is a time of celebration.
So my heart's very big. I think about myself as a giving person. So when I hear Fiesta, it's an opportunity to volunteer, especially for the people of San Antonio. I still volunteer. I'm an alum of St. Mary's University, and since they host Oyster Bake, usually me and my family go and volunteer at one of the booths both days. And it's also a time for me to gather with alum that I saw before So just serving my community is where my heart really lies.
Without Fiesta, my organization would not be able to serve a certain population here in the community of the underprivileged, those families per se. Me personally, Fiesta brings in a big party for San Antonio. It gives us a chance to simply have visitors to come in. We have family that comes in from out of town to actually participate in Fiesta. Fiesta to me is one of the biggest events in San Antonio. It brings us together. It brings in some history as well. I think San Antonio would be lost if we didn't have the Battle of Flowers, the Fiesta, Flambeau, the Carnival, all of the various events. I mean, I can't name them all, but I think it brings San Antonio together.
I am Sierra Davila, and I am honored to have been selected as the 2024 Miss Fiesta. I am excited to represent the Fiesta Commission as we support more than 100 San Antonio area nonprofit organizations. Fiesta features many exciting and diverse events across all parts of San Antonio. And when we talk about Party with a Purpose, we always have to keep in mind the purpose of coming together as a community to help raise funds and support these charities. And with the support of the Fiesta Commission, college students like me have the opportunity to serve the city of San Antonio, support many worthwhile charities, and create lasting memories to share with family and friends. Let's party with a purpose, San Antonio. Viva Fiesta!
With your financial and volunteer support of Fiesta, the Fiesta San Antonio Commission looks forward to continuing its support for the San Antonio nonprofit community and enhancing the charitable impact benefiting all of San Antonio. Viva Fiesta!
So when we say Viva Fiesta, you say Viva. So, all right, oops. That's all right. Oop. Back. There we go. So part of what I was asked to do is to give you some history. We're going to take you from the beginnings to modern day. We do that on our tours all the time. So the whole thing started based on the Battle of San Jacinto. 1836, if you don't know what that means, you do not belong in this party. But we wanted to recognize the defenders at the Alamo, and especially the victors at San Jacinto. So in 1891, quickly do the math, 55th anniversary of the Battle of San Jacinto. Why 55 and not before that? I have no idea. But there was an idea that we would have a reenactment of some of the festivals in Mexico that were flower festivals. And so they said, let's do the Battle of Flowers parade. It wasn't called that initially, but the occasion was that Benjamin Harrison, President of the United States, was going to be visiting San Antonio. So this was so amazing. Well, he didn't come. But instead, the ladies said, we're going on, we're going to do this parade. And it rained cats and dogs. So they were disappointed the fact that the hero that they were going to really honor, the president, wasn't there, and now they're getting rained on, it's not happy, they start pelting each other with those flowers. And therefore, the Battle of Flowers ensued. And this is what it looked like in the early days. Not a whole lot different than today. Dresses a little bit more modest, I would say, but flowers everywhere and a crew that works very hard. This is what it looks like. Our Battle of Flowers Association, of course, goes back to 1891. That yellow dress is kind of a 1970s thing, but now very distinctive. They are the largest woman's run parade in the nation. 100% yes. Very proud of our ladies. Now, if you wonder about their dedication, when you join the Battle of Flowers Association, it is a 24-year commitment. I don't know how anybody could do that, but if you want to be in there, that's your sign up. So they're a very strong, very outspoken group. They put on a gangbuster parade. Somebody told me, actually I'll tell the truth, it was the Fiesta Flambeau guy, the chief of that parade, said, I want to be like the Battle of Flowers ladies. They don't complain and they don't explain. So this rocked along for a while, and then there was an idea that maybe we needed to have a more organized celebration. And so the Fiesta San Jacinto Association was created, 1905, and that was to become sort of what it is today, an umbrella organization for all the participants during the carnival, the Fiesta Carnival, which is what it had been up to that point. And I was in possession of the invitation. This is kind of a later rendition you can see from the 50s. That invitation is this big. And those were hard copy, beautiful, beautiful invitations, 1953. I don't know what I did. Part of that, around 1905, was a group called the Chile 13. If any of you have the book that Monte Vista has published about the neighborhood, it's a terrific resource. But they talk about the Chile 13. And these were some guys that routinely met at the original Mexican restaurant on La Soya. And they called themselves the Chile 13. Among that crowd was Harvey Page, Atlee Ayers, Robert Onderdonk, recognize some of these names, J.H. Kirkpatrick, Pompeo Copini, and David Woodward. They officially put themselves together as the Order of Omala. Anybody know that name? Alamo backwards. And so it became the San Antonio Spring Carnival. And their first king was King Solomat. Tamales backwards. Don't ask. So here is David Woodward, who was the first Carnival King. And interestingly enough, he was Carnival King the same year that he finished his house on the corner of French and San Pedro. That now houses the Women's Club of San Antonio, but that was the Woodward House. And those of you who know anything about the Masonic Order, he is in his commandery uniform. And somebody said, oh, that's his King Antonio uniform. I said, I don't believe he's going to be wearing that in a parade as King Solomat. But this is a better picture of David Woodward. I saw one as the king, and I don't know what happened to it, but he had a turban on. It was probably the ugliest thing I've ever seen. So who was his carnival queen? Sarah Driscoll. How's that? Some names that we really know and love. So she was the carnival queen. I got to tell you, kind of step back for a little bit about the Chile 13. One of the people in the Chile 13, because not all the 13 names were listed, but I am highly suspicious that one of those names was Robert L. Burney, which is the family I married into. Because in the living room is a painting by Harvey Page. And I think that was either by friendship or, you know how they do, sometimes it's, I'm not paying you, here's a painting instead. There's one of the kings during that first few years of the Order of Omala was the King of Omala. And if you look carefully on that coin, you can see a little K of O, which is, that was part of it. That sombrero leaves a bit to be desired, but Anyway, so that was part of their emblem. I asked King Antonio one time, one of the modern kings, I said, David Woodward was the first one, and there were others who were still Salamat, or they were King Omala, and he said, the first guy called King Antonio was King Antonio VII. So they recognized that history, but it had been a few years. So part of what happened at that time was an establishment of the Order of the Alamo. So 1909, and you can see that John Carrington being a very well-known San Antonio name, this is the group that sponsors the Order of the Alamo, the Queen of the Order of the Alamo. And she is the first one ever introduced as a queen because she was the first queen. And you've all seen those wonderful trains. It's an amazing sight to behold. And in-town and out-of-town duchesses are going to be part of that court. So here's a letter from within my family. This was, the Burneys never threw away anything. Well, I gotta say, my family never did anyway, either, we keep everything. But this was a letter from 1928 addressed to Mrs. R.L. Burney. So I said, if anybody believes that it was addressed to me, although that was my name at one point, 1928, please. So this was a grandmother, and look at that, where they are talking about an establishment of this new group called the Cavaliers. And they were asking her to be a sponsor of the Cavaliers, to buy a box for their event. And the thing I found most amazing, and I gave, I didn't give him the letter, I gave him a scan. The gentleman with the Cavaliers, it's a great friend of ours who now sits actually on the commission, executive committee, Bart Simpson, not the cartoon guy, the great guy who's a Cavalier. I said, check this out. They had proposed that they would have an annual Cavaliers joust, a tournament of the Battle of Roses, high jumping with their horses, wrestling on horseback, and a humorous stunt called the Crusade of the Conquistadors. I just want you to picture our modern Cavalier group and just, yeah, okay. Honestly, at the investiture, is anybody in here a Cavalier? I don't think so. At the investiture every year, we're there watching King Antonio receive his crown, and we're with all the military dignitaries. So we've got 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 stars, and their wives. And these people are, of course, so invested in our community, so invested in their military career. And I always tell the wives, whatever you do, don't laugh when they start marching, because they know what it's supposed to look like. So the Cavaliers established later, and they're like someone was saying, who's the guy in the blue suit? Okay, the guys in the blue suits are the Cavaliers. They tend to be a little bit more of our silk stocking district of the neighborhood, but there's a lot they do. They put on the most marvelous parties and a wonderful pageant with the Queen, but they also support children's charities, specifically children's charities. And of course, King Antonio is part of that. On the other side of town, 1949, that was easy for me to remember. I was born that year also, but born at that time was the Ugly King, or Rey Feo. And you'll find within the Rey Feo organization, one of the awards that they give is the Order of the Cabrito, because the tradition was in ancient Spain that the people's king, they had to keep quiet about it, because the real king would be very angry and probably come after that guy. But part of their entourage, part of their gift was a goat. So the Order of the Cabrito is their one of their special things. But they were started by LULAC Council Number 2. I can tell you, because we're friends, we watched the nastiest divorce on earth over the last 4 years as these 2 organizations, Rey Feo Scholarship Foundation and LULAC Number 2, parted ways. And last May, the court said Rey Feo has rights to the name La Reina de la Feria de las Flores, which is their queen. It's been tough. You know, you watch a couple who are wonderful friends get a divorce. I equate that. It doesn't like me. Well, okay. That time it didn't want to listen to me, but that's okay. So in 1959, we created the Fiesta San Antonio Commission. So instead of Fiesta San Jacinto, it was now Fiesta San Antonio Commission. There was speculation that this was because we didn't want to insult our friends from Mexico by celebrating the defeat of their army in San Jacinto. You want to guess what the real reason was? What is it ever? Money, exactly right. There was an argumentation about who's getting money, who's being funded, and on and on. And these organizations, and you'll recognize that some of the key organizations in our association said, we're going to do this on our own. You guys are fine. We're going to make the Fiesta San Antonio Commission. And so it was started. Poor little Fiesta San Jacinto did not last a lot longer because this was where the power was. Okay. I try to be gentle with things like this because mine tend to break when I do that. So before we get to modern Fiesta, and there's Mr. Fiesta himself, Michael Quintanilla, a very good friend and just the most giving, fun guy you're ever going to meet. And this was our Fiesta team queen from several years ago. But I want to just say a little word about the Fiesta medals and how they started, because a lot of people know that you've got Fiesta medals and that's part of our deal, but how did it start? And it was Charles Orsinger in the 70s had been like the rest of King Antonio's, going to the schools and giving the children his coin. Had a little coin that was, this is King Antonio, take it home, show mom and dad you met the Fiesta King. So this was all good. And Mr. Orsinger said, let's put it on a ribbon so they could put it on their shirt and then wear it all day and wear it home and what have you. You got how this goes? And the next thing they know, they were permanently attached. And then people went from the buttons that they had given away from their organization to now hanging on a ribbon, and they were seriously this big. And now you can see this was last year's vest, they're 2 inches at a minimum. And now they've got dangles, and some of them are 2 and 3 tiers. I guess we ought to have a contest how much this sash weighs. 15 pounds. So toward the end of Fiesta, especially last year, Mr. John Buxey over there he's always my arm candy, but he became literally my arm when I said, I've had it. I can't do it. He's strong enough to hold it the rest of the evening. Around an evening gown, let me tell you, that is not fun at all. This is one of my favorite things of Fiesta, and this is our nation's own, which is the fife and drum bugle corps from the Army out of Washington, D.C., and they come every year. They lead correct me if I'm wrong, Patty, they lead the Night San Antonio parade because we're all looking forward to it. It's just, the patriotism just exudes. So I'd love to catch them in front of the Alamo, and they stay for several days and do several different events. Now, how many official queens of Fiesta? Anybody got a guess? Speak out.
50.
Okay. Nope.
4.
Somewhere between 9 and 4. 7, correct. 7 is the bing bing number. And these are those queens. This is in the order that they were introduced, the order that queenship or whatever was created. And that's the order. Whenever the whole group is together, we introduce them in that order. It's one of my favorite pictures of Maddie Mote-Hageman standing in front of the Carnival Ferris wheel. Just think it's perfect. So, I'm trying to see where I am on this. I can't read that far. This is our economic contribution, economic facts. I'm not going to clear every one of these dot points because mainly I can't see that far. I guess I can see over there. But the point is, it's the financial impact of Fiesta is tremendous. It's not nearly tremendous enough. And here's my point, that if I say it again and again to you, I want you to get it. So many times when we look at the economics of Fiesta, we realize that we've got dollar trading. Our San Antonians are going to, instead of going out to the movies, they're going to go to Night in El San Antonio. Instead of going out to dinner, they're going to go chicken on a stick at somebody's event. All of those things. So the economic impact is less sometimes than I think we'd like to think it is. We can put a number on it based on sales at each of our events, but what does that mean to the city? And it's a number we're still trying to pick out. My goal next year, actually starting in May, when I'm president, is that we take this word past 1604. I cannot imagine a better group to do just that. All those visitors coming to you, and you have an opportunity to mention Fiesta and how stinking much fun it is, and make your plans to come back on vacation and enjoy San Antonio. But it's not small by any means. Over 2 million participants, that we know. Over 120 events over 11 days. We are thinking about taking it to a third weekend, just because there's so many events and we want people to take in as much as they can. But I don't think Jim Mary, my friend who's come with me from Fiesta Commission, neither one of us would survive all those days. And here's the comparison. Mardi Gras draws 1.4 million. Rose Parade, 800,000. And the Portland Rose Festival, 1.2 million. So, when people say bigger than Mardi Gras or whatever, no, well, that's us. We are. This is one of the facts that I'm most proud of, because this is real. We, as Fiesta Commission, rent chairs for the parades, and we pay a certain amount. We charge a slight fee above that for our various nonprofit organizations to license those chairs and sell those tickets for the parades. So the difference between that and the sale price, of course, that charity gets to pocket it. And we're talking not our participating member organizations. We're talking Boy Scouts, we're talking church groups, all of those people who really can use that income, and they're not necessarily part of the Fiesta Commission. And our organization is 100% funded by the private sector. We get no government funds whatsoever. City gives us nothing. Well, they give us police protection, but we pay in many ways from the funds that we receive from people just like you. And this is a fact I'm very proud of. We passed Women's Heritage Month, but of our organizations, 60% are led by women. So that's pretty wonderful, I think. So along came 2020. I don't know about you, I was on a tour bus on March 13th of 2020, had a second half of their tour on the 15th, and we watched everything close right down behind us. So that included Fiesta. We had to finish Fiesta, is that my time? I'm getting here. We had to end Fiesta 6 weeks before it was to go off. It was devastating. Here's how devastating. We were $1.2 million in debt. Those were obligations we had paid for, all the things we were still gonna have to pay for, had to pay for, and there we were. Thank the Lord, we had surplus that our executive director had been stowing away for many, many years. And we cleared almost all of it out, but we were no longer in debt. So we looked at the building that was on Broadway. You all remember this. There's the line for tickets for probably coronation right there. And that building we already knew was going to cost us an arm and a leg to repair. So now we said, the group that's going down Broadway said, hey, we'd like to buy that building. Hey, if you want to buy it, let's put it up for sale. And original thinking, we were going to get $700,000 out of it. We got 1.2 million out of it. So $1 million. So that is now in surplus and has an investment account and has gone up to almost $2 million. So we've done well, and we're now on 110 Broadway at an Antley Ayers building. It's a beautiful building, and it serves us very well. So here's my pitch. Join the Fiesta Commission. Easy to do. You can go on our website, join the commission, $65, and you get all this good stuff. When I was membership chairman, we started off, you paid your dues, and it was like, thank you very much. And I said, it was post-COVID, so we had no numbers. I said, we've got to do something. We've got to make this meaningful to people. So you can get all these discounts by simply joining the commission. And you get into all these events. These are the events that give you free admission, that the parties that the Fiesta Commission puts on. And they're great. They're so much fun. So, join us. Are there questions? Yes?
Are all those benefits on the Fiesta website?
They sure are. You bet. I was going to show you a meeting I had last night. When you talk about Fiesta, and I know Patty will love this one. We'll say, well, someone goes, I went to Fiesta. They went to one night of Night Hill San Antonio. Please. Or they went to the Battle of Flowers Parade. That's not Fiesta. This, my friends, is Fiesta. I'm not to Sunday yet. It's the first weekend. This is why I get exhausted during Fiesta. I don't go to all of these things, but I have this much paper. These are all our Fiesta events. Tons. There's lots to choose from, and they too are on the website. Bill, thank you for allowing me to do this. Thank you, Teresa, for asking me.
On behalf of the Professional Program Association, we present you with this. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. We need her to bottle the her stash.
And I will tell you that my stipend is going to the Fiesta Foundation. That supports Miss Fiesta.